she took my maths book, looking at it, and she says, Peter, I didn't call you just for maths. You can do better. What is happening in your life? And I know you have started to grow cold feet to go to the church, and I'm here to tell you Jesus loves you. My headmaster then, an Asian mwalimu, teacher Badla, he recognized me on the parade. He says, Peter Saliku is a distinguished, outstanding student for this term.
Oh, wow.
And he gave me a gift of a notebook. It was a very sweet moment. I went on my knees before even she was doing anything. She led me to Christ. She prayed. And as I stood up, I want to tell you, I felt rejuvenated. I felt energy inside out. I ran away to be a pastor, but the Lord apprehended me. I discovered I'm a missionary, so I went, gave my life out there. And in addition to that, two of my sisters are married to pastors, and they are pastors also in making. Just because he prayed, and when he realized the Lord is like tarrying to call us into ministry, when he actually retired, his boon, his retirement benefit, he took himself to Bible school.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kingdom Pulse, where we discuss all matters beyond your Sunday at all angles. My name is Emmanuel Muliro, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to have a wonderful and remarkable guest with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the lead pastor here at CITAM Kakamega, Reverend Peter Saliku. Rev, karibu sana.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Emmanuel Budeo.
Yes.
Onto this program, Kingdom Pulse Beyond Sunday.
Karibu sana.
So happy and honored to be here today.
Indeed, we are privileged to have you today. And Rev, many of us here at Kingdom Pulse have been wondering, we know you, yes, we know you, we see you, we listen to you, but we also want to know who is our Reverend beyond the Sunday. Let me say on Monday, Tuesday, when Rev says, when I was, who is this Rev? When I was. In short, who is Peter Saliku Kalwale? Where was he first commissioned here in this world?
Thank you. As you have heard, and you have mentioned my name pretty well, Peter Saliku Kalwale. And so many people will confuse Kalwale with Khalwale. I was born, second born to a humble family. My dad was converted from Islamic faith after wasting his life for a number of years. And at around age 40, he married my mom, who was just barely less than 20 years old. And they had their firstborn baby girl, who actually finally went to be with the Lord. And then I came their way, and I'm told I arrived on this earth on Sunday at 8 a.m. So sometimes I say I interrupted my parents' service. And that's how I arrived on this earth. From a very humble family, trusting upon the Lord. They had just gotten born again. My dad was on fire for Jesus. I believe I'm a product of prayer. Being advanced in age, and in those years without family, it was a big issue. So when I came, it was so delighted, and that's how they named me Peter, the disciple of the Lord. And they gave me my grandfather's name, Saliku, and this other name, Kalwale, is the name I carry from my dad, who was born very sickly, almost to the point of death. And when people were visiting their home, they said, we are going to see that boy who is sick, the car sick boy. And miraculously, my dad bounced back. But he missed the way, so I came through that point when they loved the Lord, and my dad settled, and here I am. So number two of that family, and behind me we have 6 sisters, and the other 2 brothers. So we are 9 in number. And I was born in Kitale, raised up in Kitale, went to school in Kitale, though my roots are from Western region, Western province, but I grew up in the Rift Valley. Basically, that's me. I went to school in St. Joseph's Primary School. Then in my early age, I happened to be in Eldoret, where I gave my life to Jesus Christ when I was in Form 2.
Form 2.
April, in the afternoon of April in 1983. And I was just seated in classroom. Of course, as you have heard, I was brought up in a faith-believing family.
Yes.
Full of the Holy Ghost.
Yes.
I heard the scriptures, I heard the prayers while I was in the womb of my mom, but when I came out, and I grew up loving church, going to church. But in Form 1, after class 7, when I did my CP, I think I lost it. I blew it up. So in Form 1, I disappeared from God's radar. But I want to thank God for teachers. Teachers are very important people in life.
Teachers are a blessing.
Yeah,
I can assure you with that.
There is a madam who noticed I don't go to Sunday school. I don't actually. I could pass their way heading to Sunday school with all my sisters and my brothers. I'm commanding them because I have heard from them to Sunday school. But like 3 or 4 months, I was hiding so that I could go with the other boys into the disco. I started to learn how to dance. Hey, by then, I'm telling you, Bob Marley. Bob Marley was the person.
Bob Marley was
Mangelepa, Simba Wanyika were the things, you know. And I started loving this music, and I thought I can try a little bit of taking busa. Thank God I didn't go that further. I tried Changa once. And it was so bitter in my throat, it could not go down. But I think I enjoyed Busa for a couple of weeks before the Lord came through for me. So this dear teacher, my maths teacher, discovered I'm also not performing well. And I really want to thank God for that, Madam Helen Hakasa.
Madam Helen Kakasa.
I have never met her since then. She was just a graduate from Kenya Science Teachers College, freshly sent out to practicum, and she came for a mission for this man. And when she discovered, she lured me into helping me to put more practice to maths. So we set an appointment. So I arrived in her office. It was just a classroom. It was a simple school that I went to. And she took my maths book, looking at it, and she says, Peter, I didn't call you just for maths. You can do better. What is happening in your life? And I know you have started to grow cold feet to go to the church, and I'm here to tell you Jesus loves you.
Madam Helen was going beyond your school life.
And I looked at her. She was soft, nice, serious. I thought we are going to go deep into arithmetic, serious maths, so that I improve. But when she mentioned that, I remember the love of Christ that I had thrown. And chasing, I could go to the disco, I come back, I feel I'm empty. I am yearning for something more so deep. But when she spoke of those words, that Jesus loves me, it was so deep. And I felt something happening in my spirit. And I just felt I need to give my life to Christ there again. So it was a very sweet moment. I went on my knees before even she was doing anything. She led me to Christ. She prayed. And as I stood up, I want to tell you, I felt rejuvenated. I felt energy inside out. I felt the courage.
You felt life within you has come back.
Yes. Apparently, I was just born as a timid young man, My brother who followed me, David, appeared to be bold, strong. But
just like the David in the Bible.
Yes, I was not so outgoing. I could not even play with toys. I was just there, mama boy, crying, babyish. I remember I struggled in my primary school to fight these bully boys. But when I gave my life to Christ, that was the turnaround.
That was the turnover.
I don't remember if she actually instructed me so well, but I just left with my maths book. Coming home, I was in a day school, going home. I picked my Bible in my school uniform.
Still in Rift Valley?
In Eldoret now. I had moved from Kitale to Eldoret, and I was in my short, and I went to the church where I was going, Eldoret Pentecostal Church, Kidiwa, Life Transforming Center. And I appeared there, and it was during choir practice. And people were happy to see me. and I was hiding my New Living Bible under my whatever because it was drizzling a little bit. And I told them I have rededicated my life to Christ. And the only discipleship program we had is through music. So I was recruited again into tenor, started singing and loving the Lord.
So you joined ministry immediately?
I joined ministry immediately to worship the Lord. And this is how I grew from PAG Kidiwa, Life Transforming Center.
And Rev, just before we go to Rift Valley, I know several times you have mentioned your dad here in the pulpit, in your sermons, maybe giving examples of this and that.
Yeah.
But I would really want to know, how was it like growing up with the condition of your dad and also with all the community, throwing words at you? How was it like? How did you find it? And also you are the second born, meaning also you're the firstborn.
Yes. My dad was a very humble man. He didn't go to school. As a matter of fact, he was born from the second marriage of his dad, my grandfather, Saliku. Now for dad, being from the second marriage, the older family, oppressed them. So he kind of suffered, and his dad passed on at a very tender age. I believe he was not even crawling. And that's how he grew out in that condition. And that's what conditioned him. He didn't go to school. I think he just learned up to class 4, class 2. He didn't know how to read and write. He taught himself. But when he landed in Kitale, he started as a houseboy to his cousin. And then when he was a little bit older, he vended for himself, and he landed under the Italians who were mechanics. And he was telling me that the Italians taught him. He was a spanner boy of an Italian mechanic, and he taught him how to fix these big caterpillars, tractors. And he learned on the job perfectly to the core. And the Italian trusted him. And that's how he grew up, and he was employed under then the Ministry of Public Works or Ministry of Works as a mechanic, maintaining the tractors, the D8, the caterpillars, the bulldozers in the northern region, who are opening the northern region of our country, South Rift, northern region. So him loving the Lord, he could do ministry out there as he served, him loving the Lord.
So just before, he converted probably before marriage or after marriage?
Just after marriage.
Just after marriage.
Before marriage. And then he was discipled in the church. So when he was in the church, there was a matchmaking. Those wazes were very good, full of the Spirit. You are discipled.
To some point, I liked the idea.
Yes, you are discipled and you are given a wife. So that's how they mismatched with my mom. And that started promoting him. He initially was playing in a band, Saliku band. They played even in Uganda, in Kenya. But when he gave his life to the Lord, he joined also the worship team in church.
In church also.
And then when he was there being discipled is when there was this actually discipled him well and also got him a wife. Then you just marry and then you can officiate your marriage later. So in 1978, he officiated his marriage. Just want to thank God that when he was doing this maintenance of the roads, he could also spare time to do what then was practical missions through a ministry under one of the Pentecostal Assemblies of Canada missionary who started the Goibei Girls, missionary Irish Shield. She had started sort of a mission group that they call themselves CAME, Christ Ambassadors in Missions.
Christ Ambassadors
in Missions. So within a couple of months, he could take his leave and join them to go into missions. It was fun for him to sleep in tents. And he didn't know that the Lord will promote him to be the superintendent of mechanic in the south and the northern region.
Oh, wow.
Also to go on to those maintenance safaris, following their drivers who are opening the north with the D8 caterpillars, taking them supplies, fuel, maintaining those tractors, and also food, and sometimes their pay. And he went all the way, will it be East Pokot, West Pokot, Turkana, Maasai Land. just
amazed.
doing that work.
I'm amazed.
So when he could come home in the evening after being away for 2 weeks or sometimes a month, he came home with stories. I want to tell you, my son, this is how the people in the north look like. He described to me the Turkanas. He described to me the Maasais, what they eat. You know, their dressing attire, their food, their housing, and I was just mesmerized. And I loved them before seeing them.
Do you believe you take on from your dad from the part of stories?
Yes, I do.
Because I believe so. Because all through, I have. By the way, I admire the spirit of your dad. Your dad came from being Islamic all the way to ministry, and he got into ministry full force.
Yeah.
He did ministry work. He loved the Lord. He loved doing the work of the Lord.
Yes.
And again, he also transferred the same to family.
Yes.
And that comes to where you keep on telling us that family is important. So I was saying that I believe that it has transferred to you, that you love telling stories, because you are indeed my pastor, and beyond Sunday you are my friend.
Yes.
And once or twice we engage in one or two stories, and I see it from within you now that kumbe hii kitu inatoka pale kwa.
Yes.
That is a good thing.
And I sincerely want to commend family is key, because my dad then he could gather us. You know, after coming from the trips in the evening, he could gather us, gives us this story, and then we could read the word, we could sing, we could pray. He could teach us on how to pray in baby steps. And him being not him just loving the Lord, he encounters some theology, like he had a friend from the SDA, and they were talking about eschatology, the things to come at the end time. And he brought that discussion to our table every evening. We are talking about the end times. So he could help us as very young children to look at how will it be after our life, you know.
Yes.
He could help us read the eschatological books like Daniel, looking at the beasts, the revelation, looking at the white, the red horses. And this really was something to wonder about. And I remember also his prayers were like part of his children to be pastors. And to serve the Lord. And as I want to assure you, there is power in prayer. I ran away to be a pastor, but the Lord apprehended me. I discovered I'm a missionary, so I went, gave my life out there. And in addition to that, 2 of my sisters are married to pastors, and they are pastors also in making. Just because he prayed, and when he realized the Lord is like tarrying to call us into ministry, when he actually retired, his boon, his retirement benefit, he took himself to Bible school. He took himself to Bible school, so he graduated.
So he decided that with the professor in mechanics, now I can still be a professor in Bible, in theology.
So unfortunately, he did not have a backing certificate of any academia. So they could not, they just gave him a certificate of recognition. As is a requirement of Ministry of Education in our country. But that could not be time to do ministry. So before he rested, he had planted 2 or 3 churches in his sunset years. So I really owe it unto the Lord through my dad, the late Reverend Jotham Kalwale Adegu, who kept on praying that we will be there. And as it's always said and done, God will always answer prayers. And he is a faithful God who fulfills the promises he has made to his people. So I'm a product of that.
And indeed, we appreciate the efforts of Reverend Jotham Kalwale.
Yes.
I like the way you say it, Kalwale, not Khalwale.
Yes.
And
Kalwale.
you like it, Kalwale.
Kalwale. It's a testimonial name.
It's a testimonial name.
This boy who was sick to the point of dying, and the entire village could say, we are going to that home of the Kalwale, the Kasik boy.
Kalwale.
And the Lord, actually also my grandma, my Milko Orenja, the one who, my grandmom to the mother to my dad, she was a Quaker, a prayer warrior.
I can imagine.
I remember when he could visit home, she woke up very early in the morning when you are in the village, and she will ascend to a sort of an anthill, just to do her devotions. And her devotions was in lamenting, just praying to the King of Kings, crying and saying, oh, this world, I don't know what is happening. You took all my children, but I want to tell you, my grandchildren are at home. Don't dare. And then she could burst into songs of praise and worship. And at 6, she finishes her devotion and goes down the stream to bring water and then fix chai for us. And we learned from her. Sometimes as young kids, we could laugh. We don't know what is happening.
You don't know what is happening.
But you could enjoy the laments and the prayers. Yeah.
And indeed, right now you are enjoying. I know we are enjoying.
Yes.
I personally am enjoying.
Yes.
And how was it? How was it like in your primary school life?
Yeah.
In your primary school life, you have the whole community behind you,
Yes.
even in school.
Yes.
In school back in, you said St. Joseph Kitale.
Yes, primary school.
Yeah, St. Joseph. Back in St. Joseph. Well, how are they taking you? While I was schooling, in my primary, let's say,
Yes.
we had a stigma.
Yes.
As young kids, we don't know. We really don't know what is what and which is which. Yeah. So how did you manage this?
Actually, that really stigmatization was very key. Now, my dad, who was like a superintendent in the Minister of Public Works or Minister of Works, he was allocated a driver and a Land Rover. And I want to tell you, they could arrive home. And
with no papers, with no education?
With no papers. I want to assure you.
The favor.
The one who was in charge of the North Rift, maintaining tractors. And of course, he could actually share. He went for grade test at the government institution and they examined him. He could pass the practicals, but this other one he could fail. And he's doing with the university chaps. They could consult him while they are looking at books. They stop about the books. The practicality is this.
Let us go to work.
So let's work. And he could, but that does not translate to salary. Very unfortunate. So he was a very frustrated man.
That is true.
But I want to assure you, in primary school, stigmatization was key for me because kids could laugh at us, realizing that our dad had a bent neck because of the wool that was in his neck while he was sick boy. And they could tell us, the children of the bent head man, because he could walk sideways. And that could not turn well to us. And because we love the Lord, by then we are taught from home the principles of not fighting. By then, boys were bullied. And I went to school as a young boy, and we have big boys, so they could bully me.
By then,
and the only thing I know, I could tell them, God loves you. God is seeing you. And with those words, they are irritated and they could beat me up.
In fact, they do it more.
Yeah, they do it more. So I remember one of them who is now actually a senior officer in the Ministry of Navy in Mombasa.
Wow.
As I was close to class 7, we are slashing. And he'll actually strategically put like a bone or a small rock facing my direction so that he could slash it to hit me.
And to hit you.
And to enjoy how I'm crying, writhing in pain. And he could disappear among, and I'm crying in pain. And when I discovered it's him, I walked to him. And I told him, I want to assure you, whatever you do, God sees. I have no energy to revenge, but God sees you.
Yeah.
And I remember there is a time it was so hard for me to go to school. I was staying with the sister to my mom, Mom Sarah Ondeche. And I want to assure you she could come in to rescue me. If I report to her that this man, this young boy, or this stout, rude boy beat me up, or peradventure she will discover that I'm being frustrated. She was a Kali lady, would go and deal with that boy squarely. And that's how I was vindicated and loving school.
Wonderful.
I grew up also in a slum. When we moved from Kitale, I also grew up in Bakon, in Eldoret. By then, under the presidency of Mtukufu Rais Moi, Busa was the key thing. And before he banned Busa in our estate, I want to tell you, I've never seen such kind of drunkardness. But I want to thank God. The Lord protected us. We didn't go that direction. I remember in the school I was, it was a day school, and boys and girls could go home for lunch, nothing to eat. But they will sell Busa and have a gulp. So most of our afternoons were crazy. Some of them are drunk. The class is smelling busa or
I have actually
chana,
had an experience with
and
that.
it was just crazy. But see what God can do.
The Lord does and delivers more of us each and every day.
Yes.
So here you are in Form 2.
Yes.
In Form 2.
Yes.
Which school?
Eldoret Secondary School.
Eldoret Secondary
It was
School.
given a good name, Goro Goro, from Busa. Goro Goro Secondary School. That's where I went to school. And I want to tell you, when I gave my life to Christ in Form 2, my grades improved. I came from the second last to number 8.
Just to show you how God can take you from
that term, and then when it came to, because it was the first time, second time I was number 3.
Oh, wow.
And I want to tell you, it arose many to study hard. And they made sure I'm not going to get number 3 again. I kept on just being not beyond 10.
But now you see, you are working hard, and also you have the favor of the Lord with you.
Yes. Being an average student, that was a great achievement.
Yeah, that's a great, and indeed that's a really great achievement.
And I remember my headmaster then, an Asian mwalimu, teacher Badla. He recognized me on the parade. He says, Peter Saliku is a distinguished, outstanding student for this term.
Oh, wow.
And he gave me a gift of a notebook. It was. And all glory and celebration was to the Lord, because the whole school knew I have given my life to Christ.
Yes.
I am in CU. The shame of going to CU, as other students will feel at that age where we have the chemical imbalances, puberty hitting in. You're feeling now you're a man. The voice is changing. Sasa damu ni moto. I want to tell you, the Lord knew how to neutralize and just to love him in simple way of loving him.
So your whole life, your whole part of high school life was you were serving the Lord in CU.
Yes.
That was wonderful. That was wonderful. I know. At that time, what do we say? Contrary to CBC.
Yes.
It was a
CPE. Certificate of Primary Education.
Certificate of Primary Education.
Yes.
I would admire to go for that one, only that it was part of the old, so I don't want to go back to the old there.
Yes.
Let me maintain the 844 which I went. I see how it goes.
Yeah.
But Rev, so you have done your transformation journey all the way from being born from a humble background, a background which per se did not believe in the Lord, but came back to the Lord.
Yes.
And did the Lord's work properly and in dignity. And your family has been contributing immensely to ministry.
Yes.
How has it been like after now you have finished Form 4? After you have finished Form 4, challenges are there.
Yes.
Very many of them.
Yes.
Very many of them.
Yes.
In the present world.
Yes.
How was it like after you have finished Form 4 in salvation?
Yes.
How was it like?
And I want to assure you, when you are born again, you are not just to be rescued from those challenges that face any humanity. I remember after giving my life to Christ and I sat for my Kenya Junior Secondary Examination, KJC, I flopped. By then you are to pass 5 subjects and then you just get a pass.
Okay.
Something that is happening to our CBC. Approaching expectation, exceeding outstanding expectation. So it was marked that way. And I was like, I love the Lord. I passed with the distinction these 4 subjects, but I failed one, which was my best subject, and I don't know how.
Mathematics?
It was not mathematics. I did well in mathematics, in English, in CRE. I believe it was a general paper or something? And that one could cost me not to have a certificate in Form 2 KJC, and I really mourned. But then it gave me an impetus to know that Christ loves me, whether I passed or not, and gave me a very good move towards my 4th form exam, Kenya's Certificate of Secondary Education. And I sat and I passed to go to the university.
Congratulations.
And then we were supposed to go to Form 6.
For A-levels.
To A-levels. Woe unto me, there was no money. And my dad said, my son, I think I've done my level best. Remember, he's a humble person. I think a superintendent without good pay
I can
because of
imagine.
the certificate.
Because of the
The
certifications.
graduates
yeah.
there are earning good money.
Good in
Just getting-
practicals, but not
he's
good
just
in
getting
books.
money as any other person. It was very hard for him with a large family. My mom was just a housewife. They didn't have a farm. We were staying in a rented one-room house. Then finally, the mom settled home. They bought a small piece of land, and she was a small farmer.
Kitale?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And I retreated back to the farm to farm.
So you became a farmer.
I farmed for 5 years, trying to source funds to go to A-levels, and it was not easy. But in those years, I kept on dreaming. I'm late for an exam. I want to tell you, if I went to a Pentecostal preacher or a prophet, he could have really removed the demon in me of books. Why am I dreaming that I'm late for an exam and I'm not a student
You know,
for
you
5
are
years?
a farmer.
Farming my dad's land. I planted some sugar cane, salt, some kunde, some cabbage, some skuma, some mangoes, maize too, up to date.
Yeah, because I know
I see the science there.
from the sides of
Yeah.
Uasin Gishu, maize is the thing.
But then the good thing about that, I put my life in church. I rose from just being a Sunday school teacher at Mtoni Pentecostal Church.
You were a Sunday school teacher.
Yes, for many years, and I became the youth director and the deputy choir master. I started a small band, Joy International Singers.
This one was within the 5
within
years.
the 5 years.
Within the 5 years,
I
you were a
tell you,
Sunday school
within
teacher.
the
You
5
did
years.
choir.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had
wow.
development projects on our church compound. I spared time to go and dig the foundation of the church, bring the poles from the forest to come help, By then it was Matope Church, upon the Lord. So I didn't make it to the university per se, but what that did to me, it landed me in the mission field. Remember, I know the Lord has called me, I'm struggling. I'm serving Him. I wanted to serve the Lord without being a career pastor or a career somebody. I just wanted to be like a teacher. Of course, I was dying to be a teacher so that I can serve Him with the proceeds I get from teaching, like what my dad did. But and then I encountered missionaries from our home. There is one, Maurice Bushuru Pepela, who is in Tana River, and Pius Me, who actually came from the neighboring church.
You still get in touch?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
As a young boy, and he went to Samburu. He was not even married. And they could come home once in a year. When in our congregation, then we could do a week of missions emphasis. I could not miss that week. So I went there, sat there in front row, just to have a feel and a look. How does a missionary look like? And I kept on interacting with them, talking to them, greeting them. And I felt the Lord calling me towards that direction. Just from the background now, Dad sharing to me, the lifestyle of these dear people, that the Lord loves, their food. And I want to tell you, when Dad is saying that the staple food of the Samburus or Turukanas is meat, mbuzi. And in our home, we only see meat maybe during December. I said, this is the community I want to stay. And of course, Pius Simiu,
from seeing
Pepela, they
meat
could give me, they says, even me out there, I have several goats. And I got an impression, we didn't have any animals at home. I told Dad to buy me a sheep. And I started rearing, and they multiplied.
Had you already move to Samburu?
Not yet. I'm just at home.
Oh,
so it's
it is just stories.
Yeah, it's just that confinement. So I followed one of the missionaries who was out there, Maurice Busuru Pepela, who had started a Pentecostal church in Cabernet. Apparently, I'm arriving there. He had received a divine call to go and be a missionary in Tana River, Bura.
Wow.
And I just landed in the church.
I can imagine.
Under a missionary that I had met in the youth camp, the late Reverend Jackson Chasang, who was my pastor, and I'm good to go. So I sat under his feet. He instructed me. Remember, I've not even gone to Bible school.
Yeah.
So I started.
Still under the 5 years.
Yes. So I was in the mission field in Baringo, under the hands of missionaries, and I served. I started music there. We recorded some songs. By then, it's not an album, it's the cassette. We recorded in a cassette form.
I can remember the cassette.
Cabernet Pentecostal Church. under the Hope Studios. It was really a high moment for me.
You have a copy?
Yes, I do.
You
In my
give me
library
that.
today, yes, I do. And it's in that understanding I started interacting with CITAM. Because I remember I landed in Valley Road to record, and there was Acacia. And it's for the first time I'm going into the gens. And even in the gens, imagine, you can follow the service because there is a speaker. Even
Good sound, huh?
Yes. You can't hide anywhere. There is speaker. And you could hear the worship, you could hear the word. And I'm like, wow, this is something.
It was a whole new different
It was a whole
experience.
new different experience from the bush. So we went back and
Which year was it?
In 1990.
1990.
1990.
Hey, that was way back.
Went back.
I was not even born by then.
Yeah. And the team that we were coming in the mission field retreated back home, and I was left.
You were left back in Nairobi?
In Baringo.
In Baringo?
Yes,
okay.
so under the feet of Jackson Chasang was the lead pastor then at Cabernet PAG Church, and he discipled me. So he could take me out to school ministry. He could take me out to visitation. He could start sort of evangelistic in the villages, in the estates in town. And then he was a busy man. He's called somewhere else to preach. And I take up the mantle. I remember I could preach in one of the village called Captain Bor, alone, man solo.
Captain Bor.
And I time on Saturday evening, when people are going into their raha and others are coming home from Kibarua, and I'm standing there on a hill, the Lord Jesus strategy, without a mic,
without
and
anything.
I am preaching and say, Jesus loves you.
Lord.
Jesus is coming back again. And it was such a lovely moment. And then we could retreat, be discipled. And there in between, Reverend Jackson Chesang recommended that I can start to serve as a lay missionary with the Pentecostal Assemblies of Canada missionaries who are serving in the northern region. There were just quite a number of them.
Okay.
So I found myself in Nakuru.
From Cabernet?
From Cabernet.
All the way to Nakuru.
Nakuru, staying with a POC missionary by the name Reverend Bernhard Mast.
Naona venye Mungu alikuwa nakutoa ushago.
Now you can tell, my son.
I know him.
He's named after this missionary.
Yes.
And we served with him from 1990 to 2002. When he was going back home, and I thought I will go to Bible school. The divine moment was
in
not
2002?
there. Yes. So they changed hands with a young missionary who came with bombs and color. He was my age mate.
Oh.
Reverend Martin Lujohan. As a matter of fact, he has visited me in all the mission stations, and he also visited me here in Kakamega.
So Martin was from Canada?
From Germany.
From Germany, and all the way?
And I looked at this young man of my age, married. Of course, I was also married with one kid, and he's coming to us with 2 children.
When did you get married?
I got married in 1986, 14th December.
Wow.
So Martin is coming in 2003, 2004. So I picked up now from Reverend Martin Lujohan and his dear wife Elizabeth. So we served in East Pokot.
Together with both families, right?
And then I realized the Lord is calling me. And I requested that I resign. I went to Bible school. So I went to my first degree in Bachelor's of Science in Christian Ministries from Cleveland, Tennessee, Lee University. But I was on an extension campus here in Kenya.
In Kenya here.
And then I took up a pastoral position in Eldoret.
Wonderful.
And I started...
so you came back from Nakuru?
To Eldoret.
Right.
And I planted a small church there in Sukunanga, Golf, PAG. And when I was there, I realized...
Sukunanga.
And I realized the Lord is not calling me just to be a pastor. I need to be a missionary. I've missed the mark. And I landed into a small mission Bible college, the Habensha Missionary Bible College in Kaptagat, where I was the students' academic dean.
So just like your dad, you moved all this way, no papers.
Yeah.
Now only that you had your primary education and secondary.
But now
also.
When I graduated with my Bachelor's of Science in Christian Ministries,
yes.
So I went to be a student's a student's academy, principal at Habencha's Bible
Wonderful.
and missionary school.
Wonderful.
But when I was there, I discovered, no, I was not called to be in town. I need to go into the last bush.
You need to go to someone who does not know.
And then I took a prayer, and the Lord led me to Negest, Nairobi Evangelical Graduate School of Theology, now AIU, African International University, where I did a Master of Divinity in Missions.
Wow.
And then I joined CITAM, and I was sent to
Samburu,
where I desired to be. So I served in Samburu, planted a church at Archer's Post, the first church, and I've served in the north from Mararal to Archer's Post to Kargi, Rendile Land.
Just before you went to the north.
Yes.
At any point, did you ever do ministry maybe in Nairobi?
No, I've never been to other city apart from Eldoret.
Apart from Eldoret?
Yes.
Yeah. So Nakuru, let's say, is the past. Is the farthest.
Passing by.
Okay.
And then in the north, the Lord had it fit for us to come to CITAM Kakamega and to plant this church. Yeah.
And Pasi, let me just call you Pasi because you're my very good friend.
Yes.
At the time when, say, I first met you, I actually didn't know you per se.
Yes.
I actually didn't know you per se.
Yes.
I was in the ministry. I was also doing missions.
Yes.
It was my missions month that at the time.
Yes.
I was done with my high school levels.
Yes.
So I met you at Archer's Post.
Yes.
Little did I know that I will have a table with you here today.
Yes.
But I met you there, and me being to that ground, it is a whole new and different experience there.
Yeah.
The place is different from the environment, from the people living there.
Yeah.
They have different, the culture is in.
Yeah.
They have the cultural beliefs. How were you able to balance between mission work and also the cultures of the people?
It was simple. Just loving the Lord, living the gospel out, and it attracts people to come. Just loving people. That's the basic principle. Just like the Lord, he didn't judge them. He just loved them and lived among them. He incarnated among them. And they just love the Lord, the one you love. And that's just a simple basic principle that we applied. Yeah, of course, when you love the Lord, he brings a cloud, just like the children of Israel when they're in the wilderness.
Right.
So we never even thought there is that kind of heat. We just enjoyed the meat, and we ended up enjoying the heat. Yes. Yeah.
So while you are at Archer's Post, the Archer's Post is the only mission ground you are in at the north.
Served in. I was in Mararal Pentecostal Church. I served there for almost 2 years. Under Pastor Lucas Lepario, who is like the overseer. And then now the mission board realized that we do not have Pentecostal churches on the northern corridor. So at Archer's Post was a signpost to tell all other faiths, yes, don't think that the north is only Islamic. We have brothers and sisters who love the Lord. So we had other missionaries in Marsabit, but the Lord actually moved him from Archer's Post to Kargi, where we stayed almost 2 years among the Rendile people group.
Just hold on there at Archer's Post. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been here with Reverend Peter Saliku Kalwale sharing about his life story all the way up to becoming here at CITAM Kakamega as Reverend Peter Saliku Kalwale. We'll be there for part 2 with Reverend Peter Saliku Kalwale. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the like button and also ring the bell for any notification.